Armada Book 7 Chapter 5, The Human Side Part 2. Right after breakfast, Harold and Alan had to go. Andy and Rita took David and Ellie to a tour of their recruitment operation since David insisted on it. For the next week Ellie took David to the Talanaut side of the universe. David saw a vibrant civilization. He saw the metal moon and how it was transformed into the most advanced manufacturing moon. He saw the drones and he was impressed that these were made in a very advanced plant with several species as employees. He also saw the training academies similar to Planet Portland with several species attending. Manpat showed him Holos of the Devastation, the zombies and how they were cured. Manpat also introduced his council leaders and explained how they manage all the Talanaut planets. David was particularly impressed at how Manpat was regarded by his people. Wherever they went people would hug him and kiss his hand. But almost all of them, wherever they went, would first acknowledge Ellie before their king. They would call her by her name and kiss her hand or just touch her. Ellie is really the personality here. Some of these people came from being zombies and they know it was Ellie's team that brought them back. This is the first time they have seen Ellie. Word got around that's why the crowd is so large. Even the other aliens came over to see her. Manpat said, "There is one person more famous than me." "Who?" David asked. "Linda. We have a Linda Day and it's a galaxy-wide celebrated occasion." Manpat said, "I've met Ellie's cousin Linda." Manpat explained how the Linda Day came about. As you can see David, the reason for their success is really hard work. Across the galaxies, Talanauts are good workers. Smart and work long hours. And very loyal to the Armada. Ellie explained. Manpat then toured the couple around the military stations and showed the new Armada-class ships they were building. The last day, they spent visiting one dimension where the Talanauts have advanced well enough. Ellie and David spent a week going around the Jectanox, the Romits and Dugnog planets. He was amazed at how a former enemy could integrate well with the Armada. The Romits are a fine example of military efficiency. They move very well, loyal and fierce fighters. They were able to conquer so many civilizations without believing in their cause. Now they do what they like to do and they are better. Ellie explained. I really believe that our people are not as forgiving and kind as Manpat's people. I could not even imagine a people that have suffered so much for so long could even forgive. That is what we explain to all the Romitas, Manpats and Sarudams we meet. They could not imagine it also, at first, but do it anyway. And this ability to forgive is what made the species one of the greatest species in the galaxies. Before going to the Maccabee galaxies Ellie made sure to pick up several hundred Crinsins using 200 ships with more than 200,000 Trunties. At Ellie's bridge, Rabina beamed in to welcome Ellie. "Ellie, good to see you." She hugged Ellie. Rabina then hugged David. "Welcome to the Maccabee capital planet in their first colony. The Grand Master Council is waiting for us at their main hall." Tom beamed them to the main hall. "Ellie, good to see you again. We took the opportunity to stop everything that we are doing to meet with you and your future husband David." Horan said as he introduced David to Ripan, Chilla and to Bronny who has since replaced the traitor. "I just came back yesterday. But Ripan was able to address your request. His people tell us we can easily deliver 2 million eggheads for you." Chilla said. "Eggheads?" David asked. "Scientists." Ellie said. "We have names for everything. Try naming something shorter and you might get it going across the universe." Chilla said and David laughed. "We heard about your new program to address the human side of the galaxies and I believe it's high time you do. Billy is not here but he said he would sequester more than 5 million Maccabees from at least 5 other dimensions and assign them to Radano." Horan said. "Ellie, I want to thank you for sending 2,000 large formulators and the eggheads to teach our people how to create these formulators. These are probably more advanced and more beneficial to our people than our DGs. We also got the 10,000 ships-based formulators and 5,000 new DGs Rabina requested. We have been asking the Norsets for months but you made them agree all in a day." Ripan said. "That is why I am marrying her." The group laughed. "That was a long time ago." Ellie said. "I know, I just want David to understand that what may be hard to do for most of us is really very easy for you. By the way, my people are deploying Crinsin and Trunties from your ships." Ripan said. "I have to ask, David, how is Ellie treating you?" Horan asked. David looked at Ellie. "I have always been asked that question wherever I go. And my answer is that she has always made me happy. In everything she does, it's as if she does them just to make me happy. And I am very happy." He winked at Ellie. "Very agreeable. That's good, you'll survive. Anyway, several leaders of various aliens in our sphere will be coming over after lunch. Some of the species, you probably have not met before. We found several species enslaved by the Emperor's people in several planets around us, and when we returned them to their planet, we found their planets damaged. It was a long process, but now they are okay. Ripon said. How are the Martians and Greenos? Ellie asked. Still our enemies. We recently executed a new treaty with the two together. Chilla said. Ellie laughed, so I assumed there was a lot of drama. Of course. Horan gave the best performance of his treaty signing career. They all laughed except for David. Billy has transformed our military to a level we have never seen in all our history. The Council has created several programs that effectively increased our military to 200 million people. We are producing more than 2,000 Armada-class ships a month in all the 4 colonies. We have started to integrate our operations with other Maccabee dimensions, and with the new DGs you sent, we would integrate faster because now we can send our ships in. Horan said. Amazing. Ellie said. We also are moving fast to adapt all our TPs with the quarterbacks. Our recent operations against Adam's Maccabees showed us how strategic movement of our ships can be if we have these quarterbacks integrated into our defense structures. They do make us feel secure. Chilla said. Chilla has been in constant contact with Billy and our top-level commanders to plan on using these quarterbacks in all our strategic responses. As she said, now we feel any intrusion can be dealt with quickly and decisively. Horan said. Rabina faced Ellie. Ellie, tomorrow Ripon and I will show you the latest gadgets we have developed. These are top secret and it's a good thing you are here to see them. Assess them how we can best use them for our Armada and maybe improve on them. Yes Rabina, I will tell the 3 Stooges to come with us. Rabina and Chilla laughed. I have often wondered whatever happened to those Norsets. Chilla said. The 3 are probably the craziest and smartest of my Norset eggheads. Believe me, these 3 will deliver the zaniest ideas after they look at those gadgets you developed. Ellie said. You're scaring me, Ellie. Rabina said, and they all laughed. After meeting with the foreign dignitaries, Ellie and Rabina spent a week together. It was a busy week for Ellie's Armada scientists as they absorbed what Rabina has developed at her side of the pond. Meanwhile Bronny took the task of showing David around the 4 colonies. Bronny also showed David 2 devastated planets of former Empire slaves and what they were doing with the problems and issues. On the way back to David's galaxy in Ellie's bridge, Ellie sat on her chair and David stood leaning on the rail to her right. Ellie, the past several weeks was an eye-opener for me. I now understand more about the universe and what is happening around us. Thank you. He kissed Ellie's hand. You're welcome. I just wanted you to be happy with my company. You know you have made me more than happy. You have made me adore you more than I can imagine to ever adore a person. I feel so complete when I'm with you. Calm and at peace. You know that. Thank you, David. But I also became agitated by what I saw. The evil among the species, the pain they have endured, the devastation of lives and whole planets. And I realized that our people would have gone through the same evil had you not come in and took care of the war for us. The single most traumatic thing was the destruction of one whole planet with billions of Maccabee lives lost. The Maccabee Max made me feel what their collective contained and I almost died from the pain they all felt. I cried a lot. That is why the Armada needs your help. That is why Crimson gave you the ability to shut your mind. And now you know how special you are and what you can become among the world in countless galaxies. Yes, and I have never imagined you have become what you are now among countless galaxies. I am so privileged to have known you and to have adored and loved you. Ellie stood from her chair and kissed David on the cheeks. Then she embraced him tight. Ellie and David got back to the palace capital planet of Lisavadel. As soon as they got within beaming range, David and Ellie beamed down to David's palace office where the Prime Council and Planet Council heads were waiting. There were more than 4 dozen people who came for the meeting and they all sat in a half-circle 2 chairs deep. Dina, anything new? David asked. Dina went on to report that the Inkees have taken 3 million of the military, which was almost all of what they have left. Another 5 million is under training and 2 million will be deployed over a period of 1 year. The remaining would rotate with the Armada people. We have started to consolidate our planets to move to the best ones and we intend to reduce our colonies by 10 planets at least over a 2-year period. The alien teachers have started in our universities and we have started construction in the Planet University. The TPs have arrived in several hundred hop ships and Tony has deployed them all the way to the Rayons and Varst London galaxies. Tony deployed 2 lines to connect with the Macquarie and Slander planets. Another 2 lines went through all the way to the human galaxies. Dina sat quietly. Okay, my turn. For the past 2 months Ellie showed me things I could never imagine. I met dozens of leaders of species that are much larger than ours. I have seen them work to improve the lives of their people. I have also seen so much pain and suffering. As a Mac, I have seen our collective and I have felt so much. So much joy and so much pain. I know our planets are experiencing an unprecedented rate of growth. People have understood that we have peace and the prosperity will be around for a very long time. And I am happy that you all have worked hard to give this to our people. David walked nearer to the council heads. I want all of us to be an active participant among our neighbors. I want us to reach out and help those that need help. The peace and prosperity we are receiving now is like a gift and we embrace it totally. But the evil is out there and I want our people to deliver peace and prosperity where we see destruction of lives, to ease the pain of others, humans or otherwise. Specifically, I want to increase our military to 30 million within 1 year. I want our people to participate in the missions to address the evil among the human side of the galaxies. Ellie will give us 200 Armada-class ships and these will arrive in a month. I want 5 million of our people to man these and I want Romano to be the fleet commander. Where's Romano? He's at Shanos. Dina said. I want the fleet to go around our area to be our first line of local defense deployed within an area 1 BLY around our galaxies. We would use half of our former ships as stationary outposts deployed within this 1 BLY. Finally, I want to convert the other half or around 3,000 ships into refugee response ships complete with people that will deploy in any situation within the 1 BLY sphere. Our first project would be to take over the Armada on taking care of the needs of the Marins and Genepots. Where are we going to get the money to help the Marins and Genepots? Dina asked. From Ellie, of course. David answered and they all laughed. The Inkeys, Macs, Norsets, Talonauts and others have created a pool of money to address the issues of planets damaged by famine, oppression and war. I have asked Edna to send representatives to talk to your leaders on how to create this refugee response groups. These people use the old Inkey and Norset ships outfitted with newer engines numbering, maybe 5,000 ships. The Armada will provide the money to help you address the needs of the Genepots and Marins. Now if you go beyond the 1 BLY sphere, you have to go with their ships. The Armada will pay you during your tour of duty with them. Ellie explained. You guys must understand that our people need to understand and learn what's out there. When our people come home from their stint with the Armada, we will see a different set of people. These people have seen a lot as I have and they will push us to be proactive on how we exist among the galaxies. They have become citizens of the universe and they would be happy to see their home world embrace the universe as they have. Just then Lacey and Solly beamed in. The twins embraced and kissed Ellie, then David. We have been monitoring the meeting on our way here. And I agree completely with David. Solly said. For the past several months I have traveled to 4 dimensions. I have traveled around and across 40 BLY in our universe. Less in the other dimensions. I have seen so much for our people. There is just so much out there for all of us. The contingent I brought with me have developed a 5-year plan that would improve our people's lives immensely. So, you can expect the flurry of activities become even more intense. Lacey said. Did you two just came over together by coincidence? David asked. No, we came over to arrange the wedding. Solly said. What wedding? Ellie asked. Your wedding, of course. Sally said. The group stood and clapped their hands. Ellie, the best time for a wedding is 2 months from now and it will take that much time to prepare things. Lacey said. And you did know that I have already agreed? Ellie asked. You have not agreed yet, but you will, at the wedding. Solly said. I guess that will really make me happy and complete. David said as he held Ellie's hand and squeezed it slightly. No, not really, David. Because right after, maybe less than a month after, Ellie would have to leave and go to work someplace. So in a way we only have a small window of opportunity in the next 12 months for you two to wed. Lacey said. There will be 2 wedding ceremonies. The first wedding will be at Planet Los Angeles at their new space station and the second would be here at the palace. There will be more than 4,000 ships in Los Angeles that will be attending. Half of the guests will come from at least 12 dimensions. Wars and large intergalactic and interdimension operations would have to be put on hold so people could attend. The second wedding will be here with almost the same number of ships, but not all would be the same ships. The reception party will cover the whole planet with guests mostly only from this universe. Solly said. Edna and Maria will pay for everything, for both weddings. The Norsets and Max will take care of the food while the Inkeys and Bofangs will take care of the brandy and wine. You and Ellie will not spend anything to get married. Lacey said. As king, I feel that I should be able to spend for my own wedding. David said. No, whatever Ellie says will be what it is and Ellie would like that you do not spend anything. Look David, you are going to marry somebody who is a legend in this universe as you probably know. All the leaders in this universe and so many others consider her their own living heroine. Thus, the wedding is not only for the two of you but for Ellie mainly. To make her happy and that she's happy that you are happy. Solly said. And the wedding will make me happy? Ellie asked. Yes, because you and David would be happy. David, Ellie has always worked hard to make you happy. That she's happy if you're happy. That is probably the purest form of love a person can show to the other. And Ellie, I apologize that David have not yet understood this. Lacey said. I did understand this. No, you did not. Otherwise you would have told us, but you told us otherwise, so we know you did not. You are oblivious of the fact that for somebody like Ellie to even give you 2 days of her time is already asking too much. But she freely gave you 2 months just so she can make and see you happy. Solly said. Tom appeared. Ellie, Andrew has come back from the future and wants to talk to you. From the future. Ellie thought. Okay, duty calls. You guys must excuse me. She said as she moved to give a hug to Solly and Lacey. She held and squeezed David's hand, then she disappeared. So much for that. Now we can prepare without too much distraction. Solly said. Lacey nodded. The twins beamed out. It was evening when Ellie arrived near Planet Los Angeles. Tom appeared. Ellie, Andrew is expecting you at his backyard. At Andrew's backyard, Timmy and Elaine were there. And so was Beige Ellie, White Ellie and Silver Ellie. Ellie made sure to embrace her parents first before her doubles. So how is David? Andrew asked. Sir, I left him at his palace with the twins. Ellie said. We have decided to prepare your wedding, you know, just in case you decide to marry. Elaine said. It's okay, Mom, I guess you are free to do what you all like to do. Ellie said. The 3 Ellies remained quiet. Ellie, the reason why the 3 Ellies, called this meeting is really to decide on whether we should travel to the past. Andrew said. Wait, I thought the travel would be to the future. Timmy asked. The future we can see and be a part of. The past is a bit tricky. Andrew said. First I read Beige Ellie's report and discussion on White Ellie's technical notes. I was really impressed at White Ellie's work. And I believe the work should be guarded beyond top secret. She basically expanded the scope of our wars and also our adventures. Ellie said. Frankly, the adjustment of the time variable is not a well-understood area in DG technology. The calculations and assumptions are really complex. In fact, I believe that without proper data, adjusting to a time period may not at all result in the desired period result. For example, the reason why we were successful in going back here is because I had the functions well in DG memory. But to come out with another address using the same function variables will not assure us where we would land. White Ellie said. Sir, that means that if we go back, we can only come back. If we dial another location from our location in the past, the place may not be what we know it to be. Again we have to dial to go back to the original starting address, then dial again back to the address previous to the address we are dialing from. Beige Ellie said. It's tricky then. That's what I said. Andrew said. I believe it would serve us better to just travel to the future. If we travel to the past dimension, we may alter things we could not change back. And this changed state may not only affect that universe or dimension but several dimensions as well. White Ellie said. What would traveling to the past bring us, sir? Ellie asked. For one, we can prevent the planets from being blown up. That's more than 2 billion lives per planet in countless planets. Vicky steps out and walked over to Ellie to hug her. Andrew, you cannot poke your finger in every hole you see. The 4 Ellies laughed. Absolutely correct, Vicky. If I had only so much budget in a month, I would spend it on things with more bang for the money. I would not spend it on correcting something done in the past, I would spend it on things that needed to be done right in front of me. Elaine said. I actually see Andrew's point. What if the bad guys do this? They go back in time through another dimension then hit us in our past. Timmy said. I have thought about that and I concluded that it would be impossible to get the bad guys. First, the bad guys just got lucky they got your past dimension. Then it would be hard for you to even go back to your own dimension because you would not know where to go. The addresses are not the same or even follow what your instruments show as addresses of places you know. They would all be different. So by the time you are able to go to your right dimension, the bad guys have left and it would be impossible to know where they came from, past or future. White Ellie explained. I see what you mean. Andrew said. Sir, the way I understand it is when White Ellie dials our dimension, she did it without knowing what dimension she was dialing. If she comes over and dials back she can. Let's say she is back in her dimension and dials another dimension within our timeline periods. Now she goes there and try to dial our dimension. Because the DG machine had the functions adjusted the way they are, when she dials our dimension from another dimension within our timeline, she is not assured she will get to our dimension. This is because dimensions flow differently from all the others. She can dial and get into our address, but it would not be our dimension. Ellie said. That is why the bad guys can only affect what they randomly chose to go to. If you try to calculate the odds, you'd conclude that it is not in favor of the bad guys. White Ellie said. We can go back but would not be able to know where to go from there. But we could still learn then. Andrew said. Yes, but as Mom said, it would be better to learn what you don't know than what you already know and understood the effect of. I would just travel to the future then and let the past be. Also, because if we do go back in time, the future will be affected in a way we would never know. Timmy said. Your objective is to learn, sir. So learn what you don't know. Okay, I'm convinced. From now on only travel to the future. White Ellie continued, think about it, Uncle Andrew, you go to our dimension which is 200 years ahead of you, then you go further, 200 years, into the future from our dimension's perspective, then learn from there. I would have gone to the future dimensions myself, except that the Maccabees allowed us to travel only to the listed 100 dimension addresses. I have the data on what White Ellie's world looks like and I am impressed. Ellie said. What's so different with ours now? Timmy asked. Daddy, we do not have countries anymore. That's the basic difference. But some of the technologies you have here are far more advanced than ours. We have only one political body that has stayed abnormally calm since the Maccabees took over. The expansionary culture has been established and people seem to accept the Maccabee rule for the travel opportunities and the good life. White Ellie said. That is because our technology comes from all the species in the Armada. In a way, the Maccabees controlled the development of technology in your society and it would benefit them if you did not develop faster than they want you to. I just remembered a phrase one of our human planets coined, oppressive convenience. Ellie said. They have 3 planet countries and their capital planet is Planet Asia, which is our planet Tokyo. But their societies are also damaged, although not extensively as Silver Ellie's. As in Silver Ellie's case, except for the shooting war, the Maccabees are like their dictatorial leaders who control almost everything. They curtailed some basic freedoms and fostered inequality by creating a very powerful rich class and leave the rest of the population second class and poor. With the removal of the Maccabees, the rich class would want to stay in power and preserve the inequality. I told Silver Andrew to tell them to give all their wealth back to society since they got them with the help of the enemy. Otherwise, they would be treated as the enemy and enemy collaborators and would then undergo a personality change after an extensive mind reading. Andrew said. White Ellie countered, at least, we would not kill ourselves. We have people who are well experienced in turning planets around. Of course, your case is different as in all the cases. It would probably take a few decades to accomplish the task. But at least the Maccabees are gone and now all your people are free to develop and prosper as you would like. Ellie said. White Ellie looked at Andrew, Uncle Andrew, for starters you should travel to those dimensions the Maccabees limited our travel into. If you think about it, they would only let us in those dimensions they controlled or influenced. Andrew looked at her. Ellie, what do you think? We can send scouts from several galaxies and look at the lay of the land. Ellie said. And these dimensions are all in the future? Andrew asked. I believe some of them are 220 years ahead of you, some just 180 years. Some are ahead of our dimension by 40 years, so you could imagine they really have an advanced timeline. White Ellie said. See, that would be very exciting than going to someplace you already knew. Elaine said. What would be the farthest future timeline our DG can take us, Ellie? He looked at White Ellie. 300 years, beyond this, the accuracy drops drastically. As in traveling to the past, you might not hit the right address from here. The better way would be to DG to my dimension and let our machine open the DG windows. Then you go in and calibrate the dimension in your new machine so you would have the address right next time. Remember, your machines have a unique calibration standard for all your ships that is different from ours. Ellie can do this. Of course, we all know that you don't really care about accuracy. You just want to see the future. Ellie said. You must be talking about Roger, Ellie, not me. They all laughed. But Roger already went to Silver Andrew's dimension. Ellie said. White Ellie, since Silver Ellie will be following them once she gets her ships from the Norsets, that leaves you, Uncle Andrew and Ellie to do the job. Timmy looked at White Ellie. I have to go back to my dimension and fix a lot of things. Andrew looked surprised. Okay, I can go with you for a few days but not a month. She continued. Uncle Andrew, I think we should have a larger armada. Ellie said. Yes, I agree with your mindset, Ellie. We need to devote less per dimension so we can cover more. Andrew answered. You need more ships then. I believe we can get some ships from another dimension. The Armada Council received word from the Norsets and Max from 2 dimensions that they have more than 3,000 ships available for deployment. And they come with their own people too. That's their condition. If they find out that you and Ellie would be the lead on the expedition, a lot more would join in. Timmy said. I have 600 ships right now. Ellie said. Yeheltres. Andrew said. Tom, send out word to the other dimensions with the 3,000 ships to get ready to deploy in 4 days. Send out word across the Armada species that we would be needing 2,000 per ship for those ships. Timmy said. Beige. Ellie asked, Daddy, aren't those ships allocated? No, Peach, I don't think so. But if Andrew wants them, he gets them. The others would have to wait. We need to produce that much of the new DGs and more since not all of our ships have these. It would probably take 2 weeks. Ellie said. Andrew looked at her. We can actually produce and install them as we go along. One ship can open a DG and we can all fly in. Ellie explained. That's what I thought. Andrew said. Okay, I can go with you for a few days. Silver. Ellie said. Beige. Ellie did not volunteer since Andrew gave her a mission with Linda to find some Armada people. Tom appeared. The ships will fly into our dimension in 5 days. Good, then that's how long your vacation is, Andrew. Don't get too excited. Vicky said. They all laughed at Andrew. Let me go back to David and be here in 4 days. I would like to take some of their top commanders and people with us. Elaine butted in. Okay, anybody for some crisp, juicy, suckling pig? All the Ellies smiled. Come on guys, let's bring the food out. Elaine told them. After 5 days, Ellie arrived with Romano and several top commanders and more than 500,000 officers and men. Ellie told them the trip would be an educational one before they get their 200 ships. Later in the day, White Ellie came back from her tour with the Norsets, Bofengs, Talonauts, and Marantais. Andrew came back with Manpat after looking at all their casinos in several galaxies. At Andrew's backyard, Andrew, Manpat, Ellie and White Ellie were having dinner with the family. Albert and Harold were also there. Harold, how is Earth taking the outing? Andrew asked. As expected, a lot of issues, all of the countries are experiencing protests and revolts. But it's really a lot of fun for us. Things will calm down maybe in 2 years. Once they understand things, they will accept the realities they face. In a way, it's a process they are all going through and it's normal. What's their biggest issue? Ellie asked looking at Albert. Albert answered, they could not accept aliens as their equal. This is the basic issue presented in thousands of ways. I keep telling people, the solution is simple. Just change the way you think and that's it. Well, things are the way they are and people would have to adapt. White Ellie said. I heard the marriage will push through even if you have not yet agreed, Ellie? Harold asked. As my double said, things are the way they are and people would have to adapt. Ellie said. Meaning you? Andrew asked. Ellie smiled at him. Edna and Maria beams in with Rogan and his wife Jessie. Hey, you are most welcome, buddy. Andrew said as he moved to hug Rogan and Jessie. The 2 Vickies, Elaine, Timmy, Albert and Harold took turns to embrace the couple. The 2 Ellies simply embraced Edna and Maria. Andrew, I am on vacation for the next 2 weeks and I want to go with you on some future dimension travel. Jessie will come with us. Rogan said. Sure buddy, anything you like. Do you want a ship or just stay with me? Andrew asked Rogan. We'll stay with you but I will not pester you this time. Jessie wants to go around the ships to see what life is like in the Armada. I would have to escort her around. Simultaman beams in with a Romita and her brother Akinpat from the Dimension 2000 new ships came from. Manpat stood and everybody had another hugging session. I have nothing to do until Ellie's wedding so I was thinking of going with you on this trip. Romita here is coming to learn things. Simi said. Tom beams down with Olive to add a table and more chairs. So now I have a pleasure cruise Armada? Andrew asked loudly and everybody laughed. Why don't we all go? Except you, Harold. It could be a lot of fun. Elaine and I will stay with Ellie. Timmy said, making Ellie smile and move to hug him. I guess it would be okay. I can take a vacation from the university. How about you, Vicky, and you, Vicky? Elaine asked but the 2 Vickies declined. They wanted to go but it's Andrew's work and they would rather have Andrew work than tend to them. I'll go. Olive, can you ask Julia and Danny if they want to go? Ask Daisy if she wants to go. Albert said. Mom, can I go with Dad? Adam asked Vicky. Sure dear. I think you should. Edna, Maria, how about you guys? White Ellie asked. Sure, if Maria comes I would. Okay, let's go. We'll stay with White Ellie. I would have to bring some people so we can still do some work. Maria said. Exactly. Edna agreed. Andrew, Julia and Danny wants to go. They are bringing Ari, Debbie and Brandy with them. Daisy wants to go with her boyfriend Abel. Olive said. I think we wouldn't get any training job or any Armada work done. Andrew said. Nonsense, Andrew. It will be a lot of fun. Timmy countered. The next day at Andrew's bridge, Simultaman, Manpat and Romita beams in. Ellie and White Ellie beams in with Adam. Andrew stood to kiss his son on the head. There are several dimensions we can go to. Simi, I will let you choose the most exciting one. Andrew said, looking at Simi. Several addresses appeared in front of Simultaman. This one will be the most fun. Simi said after a long pause. Andrew looked at him. I am not kidding, Andrew, this is the best with the most fun. The others are close to boring. You're always kidding. Kirk is coming with us with 200 ships in 30 minutes. The Armada Council told him to accompany the council members. He is also bringing hundreds of Crinsons and thousands of Trunties who wants to go with us. Olive said. Olive, how many ships do we have right now? Andrew, we have 3,800 ships, and with Kirk's 200, we will have 4,000 even. That's a lot of ships for a joyride. Andrew said. Andrew, Albert and Timmy are conducting a press send-off event. They are asking you to join them. Olive said. I'll go if everybody here goes. They all nodded. The press send-off event at the cargo bay was halfway through when Andrew and his group beams in behind Albert and Timmy. As leader of the Human Federation of Planets, I am bringing several council officers to see how an advanced society manages their affairs so we could learn. The great Commander Andrew is here to tell us what he has seen as the future of the human species. Albert said. Andrew walked in front of Albert. As he passed Albert, he whispered, Great Commander Andrew? The two Ellies walked also and stood behind Andrew. Andrew stood in front of the crowd and, I would like this press send-off to be precisely that. A press send-off. The room became quiet, trying to figure out what he is talking about. Ellie walked beside Andrew. We would like the press to be sent off with us. Andrew thought Ellie completely knows him. May I invite the press to come with us to document our trip for whatever purpose there is. The journey I hope will be exciting for all of you. Ellie continued. White Ellie walked and stood beside Andrew. Or are you all afraid of what's out there? White Ellie asked, supporting her double. Who wants to go? Andrew asked. None of the press people wanted to go. Anybody else? Ellie asked as if there was one who wanted to go. None was moving. I would like to go. A person behind the press people said. Ellie looked at the slim woman who looks like a college student. She seems to recognize the face and she saw Andrew looking at her. What's your name, young lady? Ellie asked. Sonia, the slim woman said. Ellie looked at Andrew. She knew Andrew recognized her face. How old are you, Sonia? Andrew asked. 19 years old. You do not seem to be part of the press. Ellie said. Yes, I am just a college student. Commander Radano told me to come over to this press send-off and try to get myself into the Armada. I would like to welcome you personally. You can ride in my ship. Andrew moved to extend his hand to Sonia and they shook hands. Now Sonia became the focus of the press. I believe our press send-off is over. Please stand and we will beam you off the ship. And with that Albert stood. Olive beamed the press off the ship. Sonia, how is your family? Ellie asked Sonia. They are all fine. My dad is working with Edna while my mom works with Ambassador Gilkin. My sister Lasheen and brother Reedon are at our house in Planet Los Angeles. I think you will learn a lot from this trip. That was what Radano said you'll say. Olive, direct Sonia to take one of the VIP suites beside Rodin's. VIP suites? Sonia asked. Yes, you're a very important person. Ellie said as she held Sonia's hand. Sonia smiled. Back at the bridge, Andrew sat with Olive beside him. Is the Armada ready to go, Olive? Andrew asked. Yes, confirmation is complete, all ships have cloaked. Do you want the ships to open the DGs now, Andrew? Yes, tell them to go ahead. Andrew's ship moved slowly as the point of the spear of an armada composed of 4,000 ships.